neither here nor there because it was pennies. But now, because data is so advanced, even you guys now are looking at that workflow solution to say if customers make certain actions, they will be given certain loyalty rewards points. The gamification thing becomes a little bit more advanced because you get user journey, user profile, and all this kind of thing. So obviously data now is one of your big key strengths. I would guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a key strength of ours. I think the reason for the explosion in retailers adopting loyalty is actually the problem has got worse for them, and they know that they can't achieve profitability spending so much acquiring customers because the price of AdWords is going up, the effectiveness of Facebook marketing and the ads is going down, so it's more expensive to acquire customers, and the increasing competition is increasing the threat that they're going to lose their customers. So that's why there's been an explosion in retailers turning to loyalty solutions. Insofar as data, I think businesses are actually drowning in data. What they need are insights and recommendations. So as a company, we won't just give retailers lots and lots of data because they don't need it. They don't have the time.
Actionable data. That's the difference.
Exactly. We'll give them actionable data.
Yeah. But if you can't pull an action from it, then it's just useless numbers.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where the Loyalty program comes in, because it gives them the tools to take action. So if Loyalty Line tells you a customer's at risk, you could, for example, take that customer, add points to their account, move them into the gold loyalty tier, send them an email that you've done both of these things. It's personal to them because it's part of the loyalty program that they opted into. It's a really great way to reactivate your customers instead of just the old-fashioned way, which is, oh, hey, Charlie, here's 10% off your next purchase. I mean, that's highly transparent what you want me to do, and it's not personal at all. But if you move me into the top tier of the loyalty program where I've got access to new rewards and you give me points that are direct into my account, it's a different relationship with the customer.
So then if I'm, like you mentioned before, you're very keen to give actionable data and actionable steps to make the loyalty programs as profitable as they can be. If I'm a customer who's looking at a loyalty program, I have a limited budget, and I want to know if I should be acquiring customers, retaining customers, if it should be a content model. Why, in that situation, why would you tell a business owner that loyalty is the avenue that they should focus on and they should really put their budget in?
I think this is a really good question. So loyalty programs definitely aren't right for everyone. The retailer needs to consider what they sell. So if they sell something that can only be bought once, well, naturally, the focus there is customer acquisition because you don't want them to come back. But if you want your customers to come back, then a loyalty program will help. And what we've done at Loyalty Line is we structured our pricing based on the size of the retailer. And we've designed it so on average, a retailer will make 14 times return on what they pay for Loyalty Line, because we know obviously they have a profit margin that they need to take into account. So we made sure the difference is really big. And we've designed our pricing so that smaller stores, so typically those below $1 million in annual revenue, it's free. And then there are plans that kind of grow as the business grows. So in essence, no business is too small for a loyalty program. They just need to sell repeat purchase products.
Okay. So if you come in, you tell me this is loyalty is for me, it's my business, I sell products that I am getting repeat purchases on. I sign up, I agree, I do all the implementation, things like that. What are your 3 top tips for getting the most out of the Loyalty Line program?
So inside of Loyalty Line, we have a refer a friend feature. And if a customer becomes loyal, they're likely to be an advocate. So definitely turn that on, because then your loyal customers will become advocates and they'll refer friends, which will bring you new customers. So I guess that's tip number 1.
Okay.
Tip number 2 is Loyalty Line has integrations with lots and lots of other companies. So email companies, so like Pronto, Dotmailer, Klaviyo, etc. So turn on the integrations, because by combining Loyalty Line with these other solutions, you'll make your program a lot more powerful. So to give you an example, we integrate with review companies. So you can reward reviews with points, which increases the number of reviews that you get. You reward good reviews and bad reviews, so there's no bias in place, and reviews will increase conversion to a sale. And with the email marketing companies, we can send data into those so you can better personalize and segment your emails. So you can say, oh, hey, Charlie, you're in the gold tier, you have 2,000 points, and these rewards are available to you. So turn on integrations.
Okay.
And the third one, we have a separate solution that we call e-commerce insights, and that will look through your customer data for the last 12 months, and it will draw some insights for you. And the key one is it will tell you as a retailer how much revenue you're leaving on the table by losing customers or by not getting customers into the loyal segment. So it's a really powerful tool.
Okay. So you can gauge the size of the prize, really, and say, if I was to do these things, or if I was to have give the resource to really make the most out of Loyalty Lion, I could potentially make X amount more revenue.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Okay. So we've talked about the start of Loyalty Lion, your journey, and how we can use the platform in its best possible sense. What I'm really interested in too is talking about you personally, how you run the business, how you manage your time, and all that kind of stuff. Because I know for business owners and entrepreneurs and all stuff like that, time management and being where you should be and doing the things you should be doing are always some of the toughest things that you have to kind of figure out in your day. So what is, with that in mind, what's your one tip for getting the most out of your day, or what's the one thing that you religiously do every day that sets you up?
Oh, you're definitely right. As a CEO of a fast-growing company, you are pulled in 10 different directions. Like, I can have a meeting about sales, followed by marketing, followed by success, followed by growth, followed by development. And that context switching is exhausting. And if you do too much of it, you won't be able to make clear decisions. So strict focus is paramount to making good decisions and also giving your team the best. So I try and block out time in my calendar. So I have routine slots where I will consider just marketing or consider just sales. And you need to know what you want to achieve, because there'll be 1,000 things that will want your attention, but there's really only going to be one or two that will make a really big difference. So it's about spending a little bit of time, just think about what those one or two things are and then focus on them. And I've got mine written on the wall in my office. So they're on the right-hand side on an A2 sheet of paper. So basically, all day long when I'm being pulled in different directions, I can glance to the right and be reminded of, actually, these are the things that I need to get done. So
it's like the 80-20 rule. So 20% of your work does 80% of your results. That's the kind of approach that you would say you use most often.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So now that you manage yourself and you know what your key drivers are, your key focuses are, how do you go about managing multiple teams, and how, whether they're across the world or having multiple meetings with clients from around the world, how do you manage that process?
Have you read a book called Remote?
No, but I'll put it on the list.
All right. Yeah. So I would recommend it to anyone who's thinking about managing teams across the world. It's by the founders of Ruby on Rails. And obviously that was an open source project that took place remotely by hundreds of people across the world. And it's their learnings from how they managed to pull that off. It's a little bit out of date now. So it suggests using like a Office communicator system. I guess Slack didn't exist then. But it does have some very good tips in it. So I would say first tip is to just flick through it. It's a very quick read, full of pictures. But what I've tried to focus on a lot is getting the company culture out of our London office to our US office. And so one thing that we do is we have weekly hangouts, and it's an opportunity for the US team just to talk to the UK team as if is if you were in the same office. So if you're in the same office, in our office, you might be chatting at the football table, or at the coffee machine, or just walk past someone's desk, and you'd be talking about your weekend or your evening plans. You're not always going to be talking about work. The problem is, if you have a remote team, they typically just talk about work, because you schedule a meeting and then you do a video conference and you talk about work, and that's not good for culture. So we just have these, we call it Cafe Smashville, because our office is in Nashville.
Okay.
And they're just hangouts. Like, they just discuss one interesting topic, and they just hang out, and there's no work talk, and it's good for culture and connection.
It sounds really good. It sounds like it's one of them personal things that you don't get. Even sometimes when you work in an office, you don't get that time to actually chat to people, like you said before. Some people make the most of it at the water machine or the coffee machine and stuff like that. But then there's others that are just, they go in, they do the grind, and then they're done. Okay.
We have tried some things that haven't worked. So,
is there any that stick out that you can talk about?
Yep. Which is really awkward. So seeing someone's face and interacting over video conference, I think, is really important, because you build that bond and you can see their emotions. So we tried recording team meetings in London and then sending the recording over, and that was weird. Very, very weird. Like, nobody acted the same way anymore. And then
because they were all like self-aware then that they were being recorded. And okay, good.
Yeah. So stop doing that. So top tip is, if you're going to try something, and if you think the people you're doing it for don't appreciate it, stop doing it and see whether they say anything. If they don't say anything, then you were wasting your time doing it in the first place. So I just stopped doing those videos because they were weird, and nobody said anything, apart from the UK team, who were like, thank God there's no camera in my face.
Yeah, now they can relax in the meetings again.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then with that in mind, then and learning lessons and positives and negatives that you take from different things, is there a lesson that you've learned or a piece of advice that you've been given that has stuck with you along the way since launching Loyalty Lion, or previous to Loyalty Lion?
We're really fortunate as a company to have some great advisors and investors. So one of the people who started the world's largest loyalty program is an investor, and so is the first employee of ASOS. The biggest bit of advice I ever got that stuck with me, I said it earlier actually, it's to find a big problem that's only going to get worse. Like, anyone who's starting out in this journey, keep that in mind. And I actually think you can continue to apply that as your business grows as well. Just keep looking for the next big problem, because that will keep you ahead of the curve, keep you innovating.
Okay, excellent. Well, we'll start wrapping up now, and wrapping up our interview. And what we do at the end is we always have our quick fire. Just a couple of questions where it gives a little bit of a fun insight into you a little bit more, I guess. So our first one is, what's an app you can't live without? And it can't be Loyalty Lion, because that's yours. So you have to pick a different one, because I made Ting Taylor not say email, so I can't do that with you.
As long as your answer is Loyalty Lion, then I'll be fine.
Yeah, mine will be in the caption, obviously, when I post. Cool.
So that's an easy one. So it's Evernote.
All right.
It's just my extended memory. Like, I put absolutely everything in there. Like, you have like 10 meetings a day. I've got to get it down. So it's Evernote for me.
Okay. And now the next question is your favorite book, one that inspires or motivates you. I know that you mentioned before remote. Is that the favorite one, or is there a different one that comes into kind of a business sense or a personal sense?
You're probably expecting a business book here. I do read them. I find most of them too repetitive and prescriptive. So I actually prefer autobiographies.
Okay.
So like sporting normally, or just ones where people have overcome a challenge. And I like to draw parallels from those to the business world, because then I can draw my own conclusions. One that struck me recently is Born to Run by Christopher McDougall.
Okay.
It's a really good book. It's an inspirational, motivational account of how one man rekindled his passion for running, and that tapped into something for me, because I'm deeply driven and I'm inspired by people who are passionate. Doesn't matter what it is. I think everybody should just find their passion and do it. So
So that
also
would
a
be-
caution, born